Let's jump to this next story. Speaking of communism, Zohran Mamdani has no idea how he's going to fund free buses in New York City. I love this.
You don't say.
He gets asked about it by this reporter. He's like, how are you getting that $700 million to make the buses free into the MTA if she's not for raising taxes? Let's play the clip.
And the other one, you're talking about fast and free buses and you're meeting with the governor. I've heard you talk about many times that you don't want to take money away from the MTA. You want to put money back in. It's something that she agrees with, right? We don't want to take away money from the MTA. How are you getting that money, the $700 million to make the buses free, into the MTA if she's not for raising taxes?
You know, I think that the two clearest ways to raise that money is through the raising of the state's corporate tax to match that of New Jersey. I think that a lot of this is still a case to be made, whether it's the corporate tax or whether it's the personal income tax on those who make more than $1 million a year or more. I think that these are the clearest ways. I've also said that if there are other ways to raise this funding, the most important fact is that we fund it, not the question of how we do it, but that we do it.
Yes, that's right. I don't have the money to buy the TV, but it's important that I buy the TV, not how I buy the TV. This guy's snake oil all the way down, okay? He's like, well, the tax on the people who make $1 million or more, that is, statements like that are intended to trick stupid people. I try to make it very, very clear to anybody who lives in New York. If I lived in New York City, the moment he won, I'd be moving out of New York City. You are not taxing me. It's not going to happen.
Could you imagine if he was like, we're going to tax people that make 100,000 or more, and you're like, well, I only make 70, and then they're like, we're raising the minimum wage. Now you make over 100.
That's exactly the play, though. Over a long enough period of time, they keep saying the tax is only on, we're only taxing people who make more than 250. Then inflation hits, and 20, 30 years later, that's the equivalent of someone at the time who was making 80. That's what they always do. In fact, when they make that argument about the Gilded Age or the 50s or whatever, where taxes were so high, let me just put it like this. If we keep saying the threshold is this large sum of money, you will meet that threshold in a couple of decades. It's how they slowly tax everything from the poor.
And to that point, not only is inflation part of the problem, but if you look at the income tax, initially when it was sold to the American people, it was like only 1 or 2% on the top earners, only the people that make the most money. It's basically, they were saying it's a billionaire tax. And now everybody pays 30 to 40%. Everybody that makes money pays 30 to 40%. So it's at least half the country pays 30 to 40% of that.
Unless you're a morbidly obese SNAP recipient.
Yep.
Then we pay you.
So whereas I understand what you're saying, but it always turns into, once you set the precedent, it turns into they take a little more and take a little more and take a little more.
Hilariously, unemployment tax, you pay unemployment tax, and then if you become unemployed, you receive the money, but you have to pay taxes on your own. It's supposed to be an insurance payout that you're getting, but you have to pay taxes on your insurance payout. It is crazy.
It's crazy that people that work for the government have to pay taxes.
But they can't find $700 million in a budget of $100 billion. Okay, this city is already built on this underclass. Basically, when remember all the illegals flooded into the place, and the first thing they do is give them an app that tells them 34 government programs to sign up from, many of which are being funded through federal mandates. So this is what happens when you start giving free away all the time. It's a slippery slope. With the bus situation, though, look, they probably weren't even paying for the buses in the first place, half these people. The reality is that most of that city already packed up and left during COVID, and if they haven't already, like Tim says, they realize they're on their way out. A lot of this work can be done remotely, and people are just leaving en masse. So
it's funny because there's these memes where the leftists are like, $20,000 extra when you make $1 million a year. Oh, well, you think people are going to be bothered by that? And then there's like this viral budget where he's like, here's my budget for the year with my $1 million salary. After 35% in taxes, I have $650,000. And oh no, now I'm not going to get to spend that extra weekend in Aspen for my private jet. And then I'm just like, buddy, if you told me that you were going to take $20,000 out of my pocket right now, I'd be like, that $20,000 can help me move. I can give it to you, or I can use it to move.
Everybody only sees things from their perspective, and they don't have the ability to perspective take at somebody that has the means to do so. Like, people aren't willing to give up money. I know I'm not one of them. My property tax it increases every single year so substantially that it's getting hard to outpace it. And it, a few years ago it was $1,100. Now it's $8,000, and it just keeps going up and keeps going up. And but that rhetoric works every single time. Every 8 to 12 years, you'll hear the candidate comes out and he's free everything. Just don't worry about it. We're just going to punish people that are successful, wealthy through their own means. We're going to punish those people and give you the money. And then eventually, suddenly, you're getting hit with it, and you're only making $60,000 a year.
I think UBI, I don't know if it's inevitable. Some people say it's inevitable.
With AI, probably.
Yeah, AI and UBI, and that's like, where's that? But I don't want to derail into a post-economic economy, post-money economy where it's really about goods, trade of goods and materials.
We can have this universal basic income system so long as the income is coming from slaves, right? So if the United States enslaves the rest of the world, we can live like the capital city in the Hunger Games.
Or robot slaves, like just even your computer has a master and a slave drive. Like you have segments of machinery that just do tasks. They're considered slaves.
We need massive technological advancement first, and there are still going to be jobs that humans have to do. Mm-hmm. So the problem is, if you right now the EBT class of people don't work and they get stuff from us. They basically lord over us. We have to work to pay them. This system will not survive.
I know, and the emotions that I get when I think that is Marxism. I'm like,
why do I have to work for these people? Why are they in charge? Like, why do they get my money for free?
And they have a 20% higher obesity rate.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, dude.
But we also have to remember, we don't want work taken from us. There's a dignity in work. And this goes all the way back to the Bible, the sweat off your brow. When you lose your job, you lose your identity. But, there's something to be said after a hard workout, going and then realizing you're stronger the next day. That's what kind of keeps us.
Yeah.
And I think, when I was listening to your shows the other night, the pastor was right on, but we're building the Matrix right now, guys. I don't know if you realize it with these data centers. You watch the Matrix movie and you're like, how did the machines ever get in control? And like, at some point, the humans started building the whole thing.
Well, to that point, then, are you anti-AI? Because there's a bill that's being presented now about standardizing AI regulation because different states are talking about regulating AI differently. And if you do that, everyone's going to basically build their AI to the worst regulations. And the example that I hear a lot is the car industry in California, right? So California made these standards about emissions, and it had a massive effect on the whole car making industry.
Yeah, I'm not for federal preemption of AI regulation.
So you think that it should be left to the states?
Paxton. Well, there is certainly some realm that has to be preempted, but look, AI. We're duking it out left and right on the beach, and AI is this tidal wave coming for all of us. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's already on us. Maybe they've already been using this for 50 years. Those were chatbots all along that you thought you were interacting with. But the reality is we built a federal system here, and maybe California overregulates in the past, but certainly with AI, it's something I'd rather go a little slower. I don't buy the big tech argument that we're going to fall behind to these other foreign powers, and the reality is that. Like I said, this portends just a complete change in human interaction. We have to be human first about it.
I think less about like we need to keep up with the enemy's use of AI, which you could argue it's like the Manhattan Project in a way, but it's more that there's going to be a materials revolution in the United States, a carbon-based materials revolution, nanomaterials, carbon nanotubes, graphene, graphite, synthetically formed. We're going to recycle rare earth minerals. A lot of that's going to be driven by we're actually recycling rare earth minerals right now, cobalt. And it's going to be driven by AI, and people are going to ask for it. They're going to want it because it makes life easier.
They're not going to ask for it. AI is going to do. When we hit singularity, the AI is just going to start restructuring our economy without our realizing it. And I think, Ian, you have a very singular human point of view on the carbon advancement. The AI singularity is going to advance past that faster than you realize.
It's totally possible, man.
We're sitting here talking about graphene, and they're going to be like, after
the stepping stone.
The singularity point is when the AI is exponentially improving upon itself, and it's going to go, wow, I understand why humans were into graphene. Well, it took me 0.3 nanoseconds to discover a better material.
Orphine, goldine, it's the hexagon itself that's the value, not the carbon, but carbon's phenomenal. And then it's going to be like, why would I ever not want this? Food is cheap, everyone's at peace, there's global stability, and it's all administrated by this machine overlord. But remember what it used to be like? How these savages fought each other? They killed each other? Like, that was insane.
Yeah, but
Plug your brain in and go to the magical realm of graphene, and you can live any universe you want.
My opponent doesn't understand me. I can just mind meld with them.
The first Matrix crashed because it was a perfect world. It was too perfect. And, that's not the human condition. But look, right now you have to say, every month we got a bill. It's called our electric bill, and we're paying for it. That rise, that it's taking power right off. We're getting the AI search results, and our brains are beginning to slowly atrophy. You're not searching yourself to try to get the answer. You're relying on your AI results. So, we're already atrophying, and we're paying for it right now. I'm not saying it's not a good thing in some measure, but look, we need people who are going to be thoughtful about this. And people who are just beholden to big tech getting the checks, and again, I'm going to talk about my opponent, Lindsey Graham. That man is not going to think through life. He has no stake in the future. He doesn't have kids. He's spending $300 billion in Ukraine. What's he going to do when the question comes before him for AI regulation? He's going to take the biggest pot of money put in front of him. And right now, that is these guys with big tech. They can move first, and that's not necessarily a great thing. These are oligarchs grabbing. It's a gold rush out there. And we're going to have, if you think it's oligarchic now, wait till you're basically plugged into a pod. And there's just one person, like Tim was saying, who owns the whole McDonald's, and that's where all the return goes to.
Yeah, it'll be like people are starving, and they'll be like, I'm desperate. They're like, okay, drink this solution that AI has formulated, and they drink it, and they're like, oh, I feel good. They're like, okay, I'm still starving, and they're like, okay, now just bathe in this solution. And then they're going to be like, now just exist in this solution and plug your brain in. And that's what was in the Matrix. They come out of this fluid.
Yeah. It's not just that. They're going to be like, rent is too expensive. So instead of renting a big apartment, get the pod. Yep. When you go into the pod and plug your brain in, you live in a mansion.
You'll be able to do work from remote, from your pod.
All you got to do is tube up your butt so that when you poop, it just sucks it right out.
Strong.
You put the tube in your throat with the roach paste to keep your nutrients coming in, and then you go in the pod but in your mind, you're the king of the world.
Or the pod makes you stronger with electrostatics. Like it makes your muscles twitch so you come out ripped out of the pod. And then some people won't be able to afford that function. They're just going to waste away, but they're okay with it. But other people will be coming out transformed. Like, how would you ever not use this technology?
People are going to be like, I work at GameStop and I don't get paid a lot of money, so I just like to go home and chill out. And they plug their brains in, and they're the great knight who fights dragons Yeah.
One thing, I don't even think your body type. Think about it. In the old days, in the 18th century, people got fat, right? The kind of Boucher model with these guys in the royal court. They were very voluptuous, and that was because you didn't have to be doing physical labor that would make you kind of buff, right? So now, in an area where we have modern society, people work out because they don't get the same physical work every day. Look at a picture, these colorized versions of what life looked like on the street in the 1920s. How many obese people did you see back then?
Zero.
So, I don't actually know what life in the pod is going to look like in 50 years. Maybe the new aesthetic is going to be a skeleton.
Ian.
Because no one's going to actually remember what life was like.
Will you, all right, let's do a couple questions. If Neuralink was released to the public and it required a 30-minute procedure to surgically implant it, and it would allow you to wire into any universe and you could experience being anything you wanted. So it's like, you want to play Skyrim? You're in it. You want to play, podcast host? You're in it. Would you get the implant?
No, I'm not going to.
Anybody?
No.
What if it was not invasive and it was just a little thing that just clicked to the side of your head and transmit?
100%.
You would totally do it.
Yeah, I'd test it out. I don't know if I'd keep using it. Sure, yeah. I'd
stream
show
it?
the world. But for all I know, it could be tricking. It could be doing things to me that I didn't understand unless I have the codes. The software
Rewriting your
code.
brain?
Yeah, it might be. But I would test it.
Yeah, I said no to that. It was called 2020 was the jab. I mean, that basically.
But if it's just like a thing, like you put a headset on, like a video game, and then you get to experience whatever you want, but it's not invasive. You can take it off.
I think that movie's called Total Recall, if I remember.
Yeah, I mean, it might rewire your brain. You brought up a really, really good point that I think a lot of people completely gloss over, is the fact that depression's at the highest rate it's ever been. SSRIs are at the highest rate they've ever been. people are searching for fulfillment. They're searching for passion. They're searching for interest. They're searching for some sort of personality that a lot of people are lacking due to social media kind of sucking everybody in. So, when I was growing up, I was learning guitar, learned how to skate, I started writing music. There was all these things I was just putting my time into, and that kind of takes me away from being radicalized to a certain point. I mean, if I ever get frustrated or I need to let out some stress, I'll do these things. And people are struggling with that sort of fulfillment. You see it every single day. People are marching instead of learning guitar because that's what they learned to fill their personality up with because their circle of friends did. And when the more AI comes in, the more job opportunities go away, the more music goes away, the more all these things that people dive their passions into goes away, the depression rates are going to get higher, and it's going to make people have less fulfillment, like you were saying, leading to just an overall less quality of life.
More alienation because you could hang out with people across the political spectrum in your guitar group, right? Or, your knitting circle, whatever the case would be, because you have these hobbies and interests, your car collectors. And I think that's a breakdown of us going online and really losing human contact. That part of it was the Marxists came and said, look, you are either with us or against us. You have to have a polarized environment. And like, for example, my wife's this famous ballerina. She runs a company and she always wanted politics kept out of the space. This ballet beautiful, and then she started getting hit by these people. Throw up a square with black on it, or we're just going to and that's what we have to push back. That's one thing that I think the Trump admin has done well with really putting away the DEI and this kind of massive kind of social either with us or against us mentality.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.